Welcome to Peace, Love, and Pollinators, the podcast that's anything but your typical gardening show. We're here to transform how you see your backyard, balcony, or local park by uncovering the powerful connections between you, your plants, and the planet. From pollinator-friendly gardening hacks to creating green spaces that fight climate change, we explore more than just what to plant. We dig into why it matters. You're listening to Peace, Love, and Pollinators. Hello and welcome to Peace, Love, and Pollinators. I am Trevor Smith and I am very happy to have you here. Today we will be talking about not the sexiest of topics. However, this is a topic that really does need to be discussed and is neglected more often than not. My guest today is John Ingwar, a longtime friend and an industry vet. He started Groundscapes Express in 1979 and has moved from just doing residential properties, etc., traditional landscaping, and now he's in charge of major state projects, etc. He is entrusted with some serious landscape situations out there and keeping Massachusetts beautiful and healthy. Today we are going to be discussing erosion control, and I can't think of a better person to discuss the ins and outs and the do's and don'ts of erosion control than John. So John, thank you very much for being here. I know you're super busy, so I'm glad you're taking your time.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm just gonna jump right into everything because, you know, we're gonna start kind of broad, and I want you to just kind of tell everybody, why should we be taking erosion control far more seriously than we currently are? Like, what is at stake when soil starts to move off-site?
It causes it's the number one pollution for water right now. It causes sediment in all our waters and in the invasives too. You know, are the number one problems.
No, it's absolutely true. I just feel like it is not given the respect and it's not seen as kind of a necessity on many sites. It's a box that many people check. So when erosion control fails, like, what are the consequences that people don't always see right away? You already mentioned water, and I'm thinking like wetlands, storm drain, habitat, but it can also damage the site itself, correct? When erosion control goes wrong?
Yeah, it goes wrong, and it also brings in all the invasive plants, all the high organic matter into our wetlands and into our rivers.
No, absolutely. And then, when the soil moves off site, now you just have like twice disturbed soil. You have whatever construction's going on site disturbing that soil. And then the soil gets disturbed by all that erosion moving away. And that definitely sets the stage for massive amounts of invasives. So as I mentioned before, contractors, I will say, building inspectors, and some municipalities, oftentimes just check the box when it comes to erosion control, and they treat it like a temporary compliance item. Now, in your view, and I know you have an opinion about this, how should we really be thinking about erosion control? Is it a regulatory issue? Is it a design issue? Is it a soil health issue, or just all of the above?
All the above. It all should be working together. What we do is it's pre-construction, post-construction product. We mimic God's land by putting the duff back, by using compost and using the filter mitts. What they use now, a lot of jobs are being used as products that pollute water with all the synthetic. For a filter mitt, we use about 300 gallons to make hemp. With the synthetic socks and synthetic blankets, you're using up 700 gallons a foot. And they're causing more pollution with a lot of our methods right now.
No, it's absolutely true. And you just started to mention some of those methods. So through the methods, silt fence, synthetic sock, or just sock in general, straw blankets, the core products, like, what are really the strengths of each one, and what are the weaknesses of each one? Like, what's the strength of a silt fence or a sock, and what are the weaknesses of all of those?
Well, we don't call ours a sock. I call it a filter mitt. Yeah, where others they call it socks, and it's just and a silt fence shouldn't be used at all. You know, straw wattles shouldn't be used at all. It's synthetic. It's nothing. It ain't mimicking the forest. It's not mimicking the duff. It's not mimicking nature at all, and it ends up in our landfills, and it doesn't do anything. It actually the way they spec it out, you cause erosion the day you start putting it in correctly. You know, that's what the engineers don't understand. To put a silt fence in correctly, you have to trench, and we're putting erosion control up so before sediment gets into our wetlands. Right at the beginning, it's the wrong design, wrong product used.
No, absolutely. I feel silt fence fails. Probably, well, I would say more than anything else, but I would have to say straw wattle. Definitely have seen plenty of failures with that. A lot of it's the way it's treated. It gets driven over, it gets walked on. I drive up and down the highways and see, erosion control just coming to pieces. And for me, being a water nerd, this is where I kind of get crazy, because synthetic erosion control products are everywhere. You have the silt fence, you have the nylon mitts or socks. What are the biggest concerns with nylon and polypropylene and other plastic-based materials in the landscape?
Not just in the landscape; it's in our food. We're eating a credit card of plastic a week, and it's because of we gotten away from common sense. When I was growing up as a kid, everything was made of glass and steel and wood, and now everything is plastic. Even the Board of Health, everything's plastic in our restaurants. Everything's plastic. It's supposed to be cleaner. It's not. It's making it worse. We need to get back to common sense and using these biodegradable products, and that's what we do at Groundscapes. Everything we make is really recyclable, and it's all biodegradable, and it's a pre-construction, post-construction. It's the only erosion control that's used that's pre-construction, post-construction. Everything else needs to be put in. It's a temporary to help stop sediment, and even then, it's not. Like I was telling you before, it's not the way they spec it out. They're causing erosion, and then when they're done with it, they end up putting it into a landfill. It doesn't make any sense.
Oh, absolutely. And as I was saying, all the stuff that I see, as those silt fences break down, as those nylon filter mitts and socks break down, aren't we adding pollution to the waterways that we're protecting? I mean, as that breaks down, whether due to just time and UV degradation, or as it's breaking down just due to whatever, trucks driving over it, construction use, all that microplastic is going right into our waterways, which is why we put the erosion control up in the first place. I mean, it's hypocrisy. It's just, I mean, it's just crazy, how that all works.
Yeah, it's insane. We're actually not just the water; we're contaminating the soil, and the soil is our filtration system for our water. Clean soil equals clean water, and that's what we do. We make these biodegradable compost tubes that actually mimic the duff. What takes 100 years to make, we're making in minutes by putting it onto the properties. It's like I say, it's a pre-construction, post-construction, and when you're done with it, you spread it out, and in the burlap too. It biodegrades. The fungi, the microorganisms eat it, and it's just left on site. There's no trucking it, off site. There's no
dumpsters needed.
No dumpsters needed.
No dumpsters needed, because even a nylon sock filled with compost, you can say, well, you can just slash it and dump out the compost, but then you still have to haul away the sock.
Well, and that's it. That's another issue. These socks, they now are being made by companies where they want to make it as light as possible. So they're not putting compost in them. They're just putting shredded wood in them that could be full of invasive seeds, just like what happened with the hay business. There was a lot of weed seeds being used, and then nylon straps to hold the hay bales together, and they were all left behind in our wetlands. I mean, I've gone to plenty of jobs where the silt fence is just laid down and they just spread leaves over them. So with using filter mitts, you never have a problem with you want to leave it on site when we're done. All these other erosion control products, you need to remove them. And then when you do remove them, there's no way that you're getting all the after a year or 2 years or 3 years of that product sitting out there in the soil, all the sediment piled up on it in the sun. It's all biodegrading. It's photodegrading into the soil.
Right. No, and I totally forgot about all the times that, hay bales are used. And yet again, we're going back. It's like, what are these things that we don't see? What are these things that we don't think about? We're so keen on just checking that box that we're not thinking about all the invasive seeds that are brought in on a hay bale. And we're not thinking about all the microplastics, that are introduced. Now, you and I met 20 years ago, just about 20 years ago. And I am a huge fan of your application. The compost mitt, I love everything about it. One of the first things that attracted me, because we met at a trade show, and one of the first things that attracted me to your booth was the fact that you had the compost mitt and you had like little turtles climbing over it. Now, this is another thing that I don't think people think about is wildlife entanglement. It's a serious problem, especially for, I would say, projects now, in the spring. So how serious is that problem, to wildlife? And is it, more serious when we're talking the nylon and synthetic products versus, natural products like hemp and burlap, or, but I can tell you right now, silt fence is going to stop all that amphibian migration, at this point. So how serious a problem is it because we're protecting our wetlands, and that's where the erosion control is used most. So just talk to me a little bit about erosion control in wetlands and wildlife.
With the wildlife, we have a lot of videos of turtles not making it over the silt fence to go back in into the wetlands, or even to hatch their eggs. We got, they're trying to climb and they flip over on their backs. It's actually creating a barrier for the animals to get back, the turtles to get back into the water. With the compost tubes, they climb right over them. They walk right over them. We got plenty of pictures of walking over. We have projects where we're seeing them lay eggs into them after they been there for like 4 or 5 years. And that's the problem with the wildlife.
So yet again, it's just a big boom for habitat. You have the compost.
Habitat and the water, between habitat and water. There's nothing better than what we do. It just mimics nature, like a log falling in the forest. When you see a log fall down in the forest, that's a filter bit. Mm-hmm. And it falls down, then the leaves build up in front of it, and it's a natural berm for animals to walk in and out and live in. Mm-hmm. And like I said, we've had turtles laying eggs in them before.
I just think that's super cool. And I have a number of herp friends, turtle and snake advocates that would absolutely love that. But
that's what happens with turtles. Snakes actually, with the synthetic blankets that they use. We've seen them caught up in the netting. Mm-hmm. A lot of that happens, and then we've seen synthetic netting used where we put a heat gun up to it. And it's at 140 degrees. We kill weed seeds at 130 in our compost process, mm-hmm. And so you're not going to get anything to germinate. They put the loom down, they seed it, and then they put this synthetic netting on there for stabilizing slopes. It actually kills the seed.
Everything just seems to undo everything that we're trying to accomplish. Whether it be germinating seeds, protecting wetlands, the fact, the current methods normally used. I would argue, vegetated berms, are excellent, but they're not applicable on, many construction sites. They're not applicable on the side of a highway. So, this right here, I think, really is the best of both worlds. And as we've talked about, the biodegradable products, are positioned as the better alternative. But I want to be I just want to kind of put it all out there and be 100% honest with it. Like, what are some of the cons, I guess, to a biodegradable filter mitt or erosion control product? And so where do they perform and where do they fall short?
Oh, I mean, in a river, I mean, there's nothing better than a coconut log. It's the next best thing to what we do in a river. Otherwise, they're shipped from other countries and brought here, so there's a lot of carbon footprint put on that, and there's all, like they said, they're all carbon. There's no compost in them to help grow plants. Those are the only thing that's close to us. That, I mean, the problem with ours is you can't put it in the water, but it's perfect on the soil. And not in a landfill. I mean, all these every product they spec out looks great on paper, and then they put it up, and it's stopping sediment. They stop sediment, but they're causing pollution when they're done with them. And then and to put them in right, like I was saying before, with the silt fences, when you're trenching, you're causing erosion. You put up a synthetic netting on a slope. It doesn't grow grass, but it stops sediment. Mm-hmm. And you can't get any plantings to grow. One guy, engineer, told us to put X's in and then put the plants in. Well, then the plants grow through that, and as the plant caliper grow, they girdle the plant.
Yeah.
So the number one product is our filter mitts and compost blankets. There's nothing better than what we're doing. We're mimicking the reason why you have an erosion control is because you're disturbing the duff. Well, we're putting the duff back, mm-hmm. and cleaning, and it's a soil amendment. If you want to put a lawn in, for example, if you're not going to put a meadow in, you still can use our product as a soil amendment.
No, absolutely. And I have dozens of pictures like you. I have dozens of pictures of failed silt fence. I have dozens of pictures of straw wattle that's just, coming to pieces. So I totally agree. And this is why I fell in love with your approach, because what I talk about a lot on here is marrying the natural world with the built environment. The built environment's not going anywhere. So my argument is we should be designing better, and we should be designing with the environment in mind. And that design isn't just about green roofs and, Miyawaki forests and the like. That design starts with how do we treat the site from the beginning. On here before, we talked about minimizing compaction and how compaction is such a threat to the environment and such a threat to a threat to climate. And also how do you contain the site, and how do you manage your materials, and all of that comes down to very much erosion control.
Erosion control, and like you were talking about, the control of compaction, and people going into these areas. That's another thing we do. We put up snow fences, old-fashioned snow fences, instead of these plastic fences, these orange fences that just fall. They photodegrade within 6 months. They're useless. Mm-hmm. But they keep speccing them out. And when I hear, they're cheaper, but it's not cheaper in the long run. The pollution that it causes, the landfills it goes into. There's nothing better than all biodegradable products. So a snow fence is wire and wood and mm-hmm. steel, mm-hmm. and it lasts during the construction project. You can reuse these. Yeah, or you use a rent a fence. These are the best. I'm just telling you the best products. I don't sell rental fences, and I don't rent the fences. But that's the next best thing mm-hmm. compared to a snow fence. Yeah, and our filter, there's nothing better than what we do for erosion control, for pre-construction, post-construction, and it's the best thing for the environment, and it saves money. All this other stuff, like I say, we all pay for overhead for other companies for the landfills, and it maybe you don't pay directly, but you're paying it somewhere.
Yeah, you're definitely paying it somewhere.
And you're paying it with our food and our health. That's what I'm trying to say. Just get back to common sense, using biodegradable products.
No, I absolutely hear you on that. But coming down to biodegradable products, like, how important is the quality? Like, how important is the quality of compost, fiber, netting, the blanket construction? Like, yes, you can have a natural product, but like, And like you just mentioned, it's all about getting the cheapest product. But do you then sacrifice quality? And when you sacrifice quality, what are the repercussions there?
Health, human health, and so and again, I can't say it enough. It's a pre-construction, post-construction product. It's and it's a filtration. It's alive. It's a living soil. The soil's alive. Like I said, it's clean soil equals clean water. So there's nothing better. We're not just stopping sediment. We're filtrating. We're amending soils for plantings. There's with our earth blankets. There's a lot of designs you could check out where you do not have to put down screen loom. Screen loom's like putting your food in a microwave. You killed all the benefits of it, and it's like a frosting on a hot frying pan. It slides. There's no benefit to it. I've shown Mass Highway when we took down the tolls. They wanted to put 6 inches of screen loom down, and we came in and I showed them, well, what are we covering? We're covering gravel. Well, the native plants don't like high organic matter. So on this situation, they were saying, oh, John, you have to put 6 inches of compost down. I go, no, we're going to only put down a half an inch, and we're going to put down native seeds. Yeah. And it was little blue stem. And so we saved money. It's not just the best product. It saves money because people always say an organic costs more. Yeah, some and more regulations cost more. But what we're doing is a win-win situation. Yeah, it saves money. It's the best thing for the environment and saves money. I mean, we were doing 200 yards a day where they were only doing 40 yards a day with 8 guys, a telescope, tying up traffic. And we're just moving along, chugging along the Mass Pike, from New York to Boston.
Well, that was one of the things that I was going to say because, the majority of your work is Massachusetts-based, but for contractors everywhere, for municipalities and landscape professionals everywhere who want to make the better choice, who understand the, just the irony of putting plastic in the landscape to save the water, et cetera. What should they be asking before they specify? Like, how can we get this spec? What should they ask before they specify? What should they ask before they install an erosion control product? Like, how do we get to the better when somebody wants to do better?
We go to our website. We have detailed drawings and a lot of education on our website. But for municipalities, like I would assume and I would argue that like this somehow needs to just start to be. How does this become the standard, John? Like how do we stop doing nylon silt fence and get to yes? People, I know we just need to understand. We need to educate the regulators. It's not the contractor's fault, and I keep telling people this, for years now. It's just it was going the right direction for a long time, and then it just I don't know what happened. It stopped. We're going backwards. To be honest with you, we're using more synthetic than we were before. We got rid of hay bales and silt fences. Now we're back to putting silt. I'm seeing jobs where they put the silt fence in and then our compost. I go, we don't need the compost. Mm-hmm. I mean, we don't need the silt fence. Mm-hmm. We have these. We've come up with something better and equal. We put it like a berm. We put two 12-inch compost tubes on the bottom and one on the top. It looks like a berm. Yeah. And that's beyond what a silt fence does.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. It's just, so, I mean, it just has to get starting. We just have to figure out a way to get this to become the norm and to get it to be, just worked in, to the construction specs.
We just got to think differently is what I keep telling everybody. We got to think differently. Just got to go back to, we think it out too much with all these designs. We just got to think. As you and I have been working in the field doing landscape, we see this a lot of. And I'm not insulting anybody because my best salesmen are engineers and architects, but they just are not out in the field seeing this. They don't have in the field training.
Right.
And we need more people to get out in the field and just look and see. And the regulators need to understand this, because the engineers need to understand. Everybody needs to understand.
Yeah. And, I think, I was just, no matter what, and like I've seen, I've seen definitely, your company at work, but you've talked about, the trenching, like the importance of just proper installation from the beginning. I feel that, especially with straw wattle, like it's just thrown down just to, like, again, just to kind of check that box. And there's a huge importance in taking the time and proper installation, no matter what no matter what the erosion control.
Well, that's what everybody does. They just check off the box. They got the erosion control done. It's just it's using the right product in the right place.
Yep.
And there's nothing better than what we do. Like bringing, like you said, bringing in all these beneficial microbes. These are what clean the soil.
Yep.
There's none of this in plastic.
No.
If you want clean water, we have to have clean soil, and it starts with the right products at the beginning. And we are at the beginning. We're the first guys in on a construction project. They won't even let them cut the trees until we're done.
Yep. No, 100%. So just kind of going back to just finding a way to change the paradigm. I have a feeling I know how you're going to answer this, and I really want you to just kind of go at it. If you could change one thing, the way the industry approaches erosion control today, if you could just change one thing about how they do it, what would that be?
Just have everything biodegradable and using compost. But the engineers and the conservation got to work together, and with our specs and our products saves money in meetings, going over what's the right product. We've been doing this for over we've been in the landscaping since 1979, but we've been in the organic erosion control before even Whole Foods was around here, since 1996, and could see this problem. It's the engineers and the conservations working together and enforcing it. See, a lot of these jobs they have us on the specs.
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen specs with our product. And then I drive by the job, and they get a straw wattle in there.
Yep.
Or they get a silt fence in there. It's not just the contract. The regulators and the engineers need to work together and enforce it. And nobody follows up after the project. Once the stuff's approved, that's the next thing. Nobody's following up to go see the failures of all the synthetic products.
Yep.
Nobody's following up on this.
No,
there needs to be more of a bond money or something holding on the beginning of the stormwater regulations. If you want clean water, we need to start speccing out the right products.
No, it's absolutely true, and this is the thing. I know very well that you don't want more regulation.
No,
but at the same time, we've proven time and again that at least in this country, but I would say as a species, we can't really be trusted with nice things. So, there kind of has to be rules.
Well, MACC has got a little manual book, and it shows about 10 pages of different products that is acceptable to use. Mm-hmm. We shouldn't be wasting all that paper approving this stuff. We should have only one page, and is what we do.
Yeah. If we had to get rid of with all the different products out there, synthetic and non-synthetic, what do you think is the most dangerous to the waterways and the environment? Is it silt fence? Is it nylon sock? Is it nylon blanket?
It's all three of them. All anything made of petroleum like this is all, like, again. I just finding out that how much plastic I'm eating in my food, even though I buy it. Yeah, it's just bad. Yeah,
no, it doesn't. Yeah, even if you're buying organic, it's absolutely true.
Even the organic farmers are using plastic. We use burlap. I use burlap for my weed protector. I use vinegar to control the weeds.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. No, it's all a mindset, and that's from our first conversation.
And even before we had regulations, we were doing this. This is what the country was founded on. There was. I don't want to hit the whole thing, but that's what the Pakistan Indian War was about. I mean, George Washington said if you owned more than 11 acres, you had to grow hemp. George Bush Sr. jumped out of an airplane made of hemp during World War II. Everything was made of hemp. It was the chemical industry that got us off of this, because you need a lot of chemicals to grow cotton. Yeah. So we got away with it. We had one of the largest hemp factories right here in Massachusetts, right at Cornish Park in Plymouth. Everything was made of hemp at one time. Henry Ford's first car inside his car was made of hemp. Mm-hmm. Our cars were fueled by it.
No, and like you said, growing up, everything was made out of glass and steel. So it's just, plastic is definitely cheaper. It's just, it's the way it is. It's everywhere. It's cheaper, but it's cheaper at what cost, I guess.
Yeah, it's making us sicker. I mean, I'm 65 years old. My grandparents all, I hate to say it, died of a good old heart attack, but everybody's dying of cancer right now. They died right away, Now you're watching people suffer. Mm-hmm. And it's because of, I believe it's because of these, the system right now, all this plastic, these rubber gloves, I grew up working on a pig farm, and I used to go get the slop out of the kitchen, no problem, go feed the pigs. Mm-hmm. And then later in the 80s, I wanted to do it as a hobby. So I still had pigs, I was running my own business then, but I still wanted to have some pigs. And then I went in there, and the restaurant, it was the busboy would be clean the plates off, and I was getting all these little creamers and all these little ketchup packages, yep, and then rubber gloves. And this is before COVID. This is back in the 80s. Yeah. I said, why are you using this? Isn't it cheaper to buy it in 1 gallon jugs like my father used to do? And he was in the restaurant business. And they go, oh no, John, Board of Health is requiring us to use all this plastic. So yep, it's too much regulations and the wrong regulations. Yep, just cut it back. Like I said, with the MACC, just have 1 page, not 5 pages of trying to make everybody happy to sell the product. That product is, the conservation is to help help the water. Right. We're making it worse. We're trying to make everybody happy. The industries.
No, I feel that's true. And I feel like in our industry, especially with what you do, because you work in so many sensitive areas and see so many practices that are just contrary to exactly, again, just going back to the microplastics, again, water nerd, but the microplastics and everything else, you're seeing that, firsthand, conservation regulations that fly in the face of anything that has to do with conservation. So it's really tough. And I knew this was going to get a little heated, and I knew it was going to be deep, but I really, John, I really wanted to have, I wanted to have you on. Because when you and I talk, and we've, with all of the conversations that we've had over the years, you just are like, you're salt of the earth, like the most practical person I've ever met. And you just tell it like it is. And that's why I wanted to have you on here, to just come on.
Oh, thank you.
And just tell it like it is. Now, for people, just as we're wrapping it up, for people who want to learn more, maybe they're not in Massachusetts and not in your service area, but for people who want to learn more, for people who want to use you and use your product, how do people find you? Give us a website, give us anything.
Yeah. Just you can call my cell phone even. It's 508 Groundscapes. You can call Groundscapes Express right here in Rentham. Yep. And you got groundscapesexpress.com. You can try emailing us too.
Okay. I mean, I just think that would be great, because I'm hoping that somebody's going to be listening to this.
About the phone. I have too many phone calls right now.
Yeah. Okay. We'll stay off the phone. But I'm just hoping that somebody's listening to this, whether they're in Houston or whether they're in Toronto, and they're curious and they want to learn more, and they want to figure out how to do the right thing. I just want to be able to put you out there as a resource, at least as a way to guide people to doing the right thing or answering their questions about why what they're thinking is wrong. So, I recently just used, your product in a highly sensitive wetland area right along the edge of a pond and a vernal pool for a meadow construction that we're working on. And you were able to come in, You were able to lay down, hundreds of feet of filter mitt, right there. Conservation came in. They were just blown away at the product itself. But also the fact that it was, and going back to one of my earlier kind of points, it was perfectly installed. And they not only loved the fact of the product, itself, but it was, your guys came in and just installed it perfectly. And I got great compliments, from the Conservation Commission, about that. So, I thank you. And of course, I'm a loyal customer and a huge fan, but, I thank you for your wisdom today. I thank you for, over 40 years of efforts. You were working towards saving the planet, and you were eco before eco was cool. So, yep. John, I really appreciate you, and I just thank you so much for being on.
Thank you.
All right, that does it right now for Peace, Love, and Pollinators. Thank you so much. I hope you had some good takeaways from this conversation, and we will see you next time. Thanks a lot. I'm Trevor Smith.